Oh, hello. Hey. Hey, Nunu, Sue, and Vina. Hello. I hope you can hear me okay. Always need to ask. And yeah. um, so yeah, today we're continuing. Um, you may have already seen on social media, but I have finished the floor. So yeah, ta-da! I finished the floor from yesterday, and I'm really happy with how it came out. So yeah, that made me really happy. Brr, I don't know what else to say aside from being happy about it. Thank you, Sue. Um, but I do so. One last thing that I want to do is actually seal it because I don't know. I don't think you can actually catch it on camera. But basically, maybe if I'll bring it very close. Do you see? Yeah. Do you see the shiny part between the boards, between the wood pieces? So that's basically the exposed sticky paper that I had there, that I used as base, and I don't want it to remain sticky. Although, yeah, it's not, can't really get stuck to it, but it's better not to do it. And also just to kind of seal it all and make sure that it's all safe and secure and in place, I'll just use my Mod Podge and move to the table camera. Yay! Um, and yeah, and just basically go over it. If I'll find my brush, there's a brush. There's a brush right here. And the reason that I'm using Mod Podge, that I need to buy some more, I see, is that it's very well, even though this is the matte, why is there three times matte? I've only noticed that it's three times. Anyways, even though it says that it's matte, it actually has a little bit of shine. So it would still, it will kind of emulate this feel of old varnish once it's dry. And of course, because it's, you know, it's a glue and a sealer and all this good stuff, then it will make this floor a lot more stable. So this is sort of the final stage. The true final stage will, of course, be, well, putting it inside the room, which I will say I'm not doing yet. Um, oh my God, you're so right. Ah, Sue, you're brilliant. How did I not think of that? I don't know. I guess that just because it's so similar, one next to the other, I just was like, is that supposed to be some sort of, you know, like a pun or like a weird name? It's just made. Okay, great. That was just me. Yeah. So as I was saying, I'm not installing the uh, floor and the walls for the whole inside the house yet because the one thing that I need to decide before I'm installing anything really is whether or not I'm putting any kind of lighting inside, and if I do, then where, and so on. Because yeah, because you need to make little holes for the electric wire to pass through, and you kind of want to do that before you put anything in for real. So, you know, waiting with that a bit. Yeah. And you'll probably notice that I'm going very deliberately in one direction only with this because, yeah, the brush might leave a little bit of strokes. It's pretty soft, but it's also a very cheap brush. It's one of those IKEA brushes. I think everybody's using them because they're really, really cheap and they're actually quite good for their price. And I personally really like the fact that they're short. It's very convenient, especially when you're working with miniatures. If you need to kind of reach inside, sometimes the long brushes can be good for some things, but sometimes it's just hard. So I like the short ones. And yeah, and it might leave some brush strokes, so I'm just making sure that if it does, it will be in sort of the direction of the wood grain or the would-be wood grain. And that's about it. Hey, David. Thank you for coming. How are you today, guys? I'm just gonna just so you know, there's a kitty sitting on top of the bookcase next to me and looking down at me. And it's very interesting. Okay. So, I'm just putting this aside. And we'll put this aside to dry. Well, and we are moving to our second room. I mean, I know that it's not even been a week, but it still feels like I should say finally. So we're moving to the second room. And you can see all the pieces of the hall here. I did cut out all of the windows to the bottom through the panels. So it is basically ready to be glued on. But like I said, I need to figure out electricity first. And then I can put in everything. Because, okay, I'll talk electricity in a bit. First, let's talk kitchen, because we have the kitchen to deal with. So, and it's gonna be, it's interesting because it's two very different rooms in the house, right? Like this one is very much fancy and like probably one of the biggest, like most I don't know, richest rooms in the house. And then we'll have the kitchen, which, yeah, definitely not a fancy area. So you can see that, hey, if we look at the structure of the kitchen, we have basically this will be the back entrance to the house. It has a few little windows. It has the door here that, if you look, I'm trying to find the angle, but it actually goes all the way through the opening from the entrance through the kitchen and this little door here to the great hall. So should I choose to leave the door open, we can actually see through, which is kind of cool. So I have the pieces for the kitchen, and I'll show you in a bit. There's one wall that I've actually started working on to show you what I'm planning. But obviously, this is not going to be like fancy wallpaper and stuff. This is going to be more of a plaster wall. This is the floor, by the way, just already cut the base. It will probably also be a wooden floor. I don't think they had a floor in Victorian times for kitchens. Like the wood floor would be cheaper, probably. I don't know. Maybe I should do some research. But for the walls, basically, this is my plan. So I'll bring it up to the kitchen, not to the kitchen, to the camera, so you can see a little better what's going on here. And I'll show you in a bit how I did this. And this is not the finished product. Really, this is just what the texture pastes look like, the way that I mix them. But there will be probably some... Oh, I just noticed that one of my cats has donated a hair. Thank you, kitties. Oh, well. I will I'll add some stains and coloring in with ink and so on, but the base is something like that. It's supposed to be this kind of ruined plaster wall. And what I did for this is mixed 3 different texture pastes. It's the texture paste opaque marked by Ranger. This is Tim Holtz has a version of this that comes in a smaller jar. So, and because I use quite a lot of it, I tend to buy the bigger one. Although I have realized that I think it is a little bit different. So I might go back to the smaller jars. And speaking of smaller jars, there's the crackle that will be mixed. It's just a little bit, really, because I'll explain a bit. And this limited edition Halloween one, the Crypt, that's what brought in all of these kind of greenish stains with the black, and I really love the effect. It really looks like, water stains, basically, or mold growing, which is lovely in a kitchen, really. Oh, and yeah. So I'm probably also going to use this stamp a little bit. Hey, how are you? I take the box from the cat. Okay. Just gave me 1 hair so far. Yeah, so I'm probably going to combine a little bit of this crackle stamp on top as well to kind of add to these cracks. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Then I wanted to show you, so before I did a few testings to decide what I wanted to do. So this is, I think you can see. Hey, Apartiam. And thank you for joining me. And I'll bring it up again. So you can see, so here I just did texture paste together with a crackle. And in this one, I've added the crypt paste. And so with these ones, I just did it on plain cardstock with nothing underneath. On the wall itself here, I basically, I inked it before. And one of the things that I love about these pastes is that, yeah, they take ink really well, and that you can do it, and you get different effects if you add the ink before or after adding the pastes. And just because I had them on hand, I brought these to, it's basically kind of swatches, I guess, that I did with the, let's see, that's texture paste, crackle paste, and grit paste. And the difference is that one is is the order of when I put the paste and when I put the ink. So in this one, I've put the paste first, let it dry, and then inked it. And that's oxide and the usual distress ink. And in this one, I've put the ink first and then put the pastes. And what's interesting is that you can see how even without, I didn't add any ink on top afterwards. They just kind of suck the ink out of the paper. But you get very different effects, especially with the crackle that doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't take the color as strongly as the other two. But it's a really interesting effect because, yeah, I don't know, it just gets into the cracks, yes, and I don't know. I love that. I love both of them, but it's really interesting the different effects. So I figured, when I was prepping, I saw them next to me, next to my desk, and I figured I'll show you that experiment as well. So in this case, what I did is start with antique linen, and we'll just do the enough talking, Nama. Now start doing. So we're gonna just start inking. Basically, these are the two other walls of the kitchen, and I'll get them to look like this. So just a sec, I'm gonna just bring in the bigger non-stick mat because it's easier to work on that when you're doing pastes. Thank you. And yeah, so just straight to paper. And I gotta say that it's even just adding this already makes the wall looks kind of aged and miserable, which made me very happy. So yes, I'm kind of purposely not doing a ton. Just letting it be, how do I describe it? Uneven. That would be a good description, I think. And same here. Just making sure that the edges are a bit on the darker side. Thank you. And yeah. And then we'll just add the paste on top. Yeah, and I guess, I suppose you could probably use several palette knives, but I prefer to use one, and because I don't want to pass one of the pastes to another jar, so I'm just going to use a baby wipe. Hey, Peggy. Aw. That's okay. I hope that, I don't know, I hope you're having a good day at work and regardless of work. So yeah, so because I don't want to kind of mix the paste inside the jars, then I'm just going to move in between and clean. No, I'm going to wipe off the excess in between. See, I can make full sentences. It's very exciting. Okay, so the main one I'm using is the texture paste. So I'm going to take a fairly good amount and just go over. I am trying to basically cover the entire surface, but I don't mind it about being streaky or a little uneven because, yeah, it is supposed to look a bit broken. And I am doing a very thin layer, really, because even though, well, the paste is going to be colored by the ink, but I also kind of wanted to, I want the kind of the design that's happened with the ink, the unevenness of it to show through. So just going over it, very thin layer. Um, yeah, this. And I can take this access already to this wall. Cool. Hmm. And okay, just that a bit. And this. And add some lovely ripped paste. And this I really just add a little bit here and there without thinking too much about it. Well, trying not to think at all about it, actually. Seems useful in this case. Just a little bit. It really adds this feel of, what do you call it? Like, yeah, humidity stains or water stains, I guess. So just adding a bit here and there. And before it dries, just a teensy bit really of the crackle. Just, and I'm purposely using, I would say even very thin layers of the crackle because of scale. Because I want the cracks to be small in this case, because it's miniature and I don't want gigantic cracks. So just a teensy bit. Yeah. And this one is basically ready. This kind of looks like a ghost. This to me. Anybody else? I don't know if you can see it because it might be too small, but it's very fitting. Okay. So again, starting with the texture paste. Pretty, it's not necessarily even, but kind of getting a good yet thin coverage. All. Mm, then we'll add the rest. Yay! I'm not the only one saying it then. It's very fitting, you have to admit. Um, Having weird stains and shapes in the walls is perfect for a haunted house. This definitely goes down as a happy accident. Okay, so that's texture paste. Let's add some crypt paste. How is everybody doing today? I have been, I don't know, I'm having a bit of a, those days when you kind of, mm, not, I guess, yeah, you can see that. It's not entirely, I wouldn't say not entirely there, no, but kind of just unfocused, I guess. I guess that would be the description of me right now. Not completely focused. Um, but yeah. So far, it still seems to be working okay, so yay for that, I guess. Mm, some cracks around here. Hmm. I do find it kind of, I don't know, I think it's interesting that like you get a very interesting texture, not just because of the combination, but because the different pastes dry a little differently. So there's like it just creates different shades and different variations of things, which is kind of cool. I'm not even sure how much like, details with paint I need to add afterwards once it's dry, because it's already like the coloring at least looks really good. Yeah, 11 centimeters by 15 and 60. That's so. Is that like it's similar to the size of like the Tim Holtz ones? A little, well, similar to the size, I think, but it's probably it's like different proportions. It sounds really cool. Yeah, I mean, pastes, texture pastes are awesome. That's all I can say because you really, I don't know, you really get so much out of it, and it's very hard to, very, no, opposite, very easy to work with, and a lot of fun, in my opinion. So this needs to dry now. Ah, nice. Yeah. I mean, it's fun to have dyes because because then you kind of you can get to this part basically a lot faster. But it's also so much fun to start from scratch because then you can really, really do whatever you want. And yeah, I mean that's what I'm doing here. So I totally get that. So what did you use? Did you use like cardstock or clipboard? I'm curious about bases. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So just cleaning the paste from this because it's harder to clean afterwards. All right. So, oh, the tiny ones or the new ones? Tiny ones are so cute. Okay. Clean up in here a bit too. A little bit. Now, so these two need to dry, but we can work a little bit on this guy. Nice. Yeah, they're adorable. Um, I would definitely want to play with them soon. I can already see. So yeah, like this side, you can already see that it's kind of getting closer. It's getting dry because you can see that it's colorizing is really close. I'm just, I hope that my little ghost will stay because it's a crackle paste, so I'm not entirely sure how it would crack and what will happen. So now, okay, we have some cracks from this, but I want to add a few cracks with this stamp. Because yeah, they have different sort of proportions, and also I will use them, you know, I'll stamp it, so it's just a different feel. I also wanted to mention that this stamp is really great for anything wood as well. I've used it in another miniature that I did. And yeah, because the scale of the boards is it's too big basically for this size of miniature. But what I did is that I stamped it once and then um, moved it basically. I'm forgetting words today, but you know what I mean. I moved it a bit. So basically, um, yeah, you know, if I stamped it like this and then I moved it a bit, so these lines went into the middle of the board lines. So it really created a nice thin um, thin boards that actually fit with the scales. I don't know, you probably can't hear Nox meowing off camera right now, but it's very distracting. So I'm sorry. I'm distracted enough as it is, Kitty. So yeah, so basically just by shifting the stamp and re-stamping again, I could get a smaller scale that fits with this size of things. So that was cool. And yes, it is a great stamp. So now I'm gonna just add a little bit of cracks, just a few, probably like here and here maybe. And I'm using hickory smoke. It's yeah, I know she's far off, so I assumed you couldn't hear it, but I can, and it's very distracting. So I'm using hickory smoke because I want it to be well, more gentle. If I want to darken it at some point, I can always just go over with a pen or something to darken that spot. But to begin with, I just want a little bit. So just adding the stamp and adding a little bit here. And just realize that this part of the wall, which I really like, will probably not be visible. That saddens me a bit. Oh well. There. More here. I'm trying to just, yeah, see where I have ink on the stamp. Here a bit. There we go, and maybe here as well. Yeah. And that's, I don't know. Should I add more paints? I would probably add like water stains, like dripping from the edges of the windows, but I'm not sure if I should do it now or when I have rains. Overlapping! That's the word I was looking for. Awesome. Thank you for that, Crafty. Hey, yeah, no worries, Nunu. I know that it's yeah, working time for you. I know you're working hard, so yeah. But thank you for being around, and I hope you're enjoying my somewhat disoriented self today. Okay. So, I'm just wondering, I don't think I actually want to add more a coloring to the cracks or anything because I like kind of the contrast, but I think maybe we will add a little bit of kind of water stains in darker brown. Um, let's see how that goes. Oh, thank you. Okay, so I'm taking fried burlap because it has this kind of gray brown with sort of greenish yellowish undertones, which I think would work with the crypt. And I probably do I have a smaller brush here? I think I brought a smaller brush. Wait. Yes, I did. Ah, smaller brush. It's kind of it's a brush that lost its tip, so I'm not entirely sure if it's the best choice, but it is smaller. Okay, so just some. I think I will need it to be a bit more concentrated. Do some lining here. And the beauty is that once you create this kind of line, if you add just a drop into it, then it slides down at the same place. I don't know if you can see it. Could you see it on camera? Let me know. But it really is, it means that you can kind of darken it a bit more if you wish. Um, I'll do it here as well. Cool. I'm never really sure because, on my like watching behind the scenes, I'm seeing a very small screen, so I'm never really sure how much you can actually see. Mm, Just kind of create a bit of it in here. And that's about it. I might, let's see what happens if I just add a little bit of ink over this crackle place because it is fairly white. Which I don't mind too much in here. Um, yeah, Gather Twigs is awesome. But it's darker than this. I wanted it to be, I feel like I'll just put it like this so we'll draw an angle. Like fried burlap, well, fried burlap in general is a bit lighter brown, and it's really similar actually to the crypt color. So I don't know if that's the ink that they used when they made the crypt paste, but it's definitely seems to work very well together. I love gather twigs for anything wood though. Um, or at least weathered wood. I don't know. I think Yeah, I think it was in the end for the floor, that's basically what I used. Um, Gathered twigs with ground espresso, which is another. I just like all of his browns. What can you do? They're good browns. Um, yeah, I don't want to darken it too much because I like the contrast of the white. So just here and there, especially when we have crackles, because then the ink goes in, which always makes it look better. Yeah. Mm, yeah. So, and of course, all of this can basically be done also with watercolors and stuff like that. Did you hear her now? Right. She that is Nox complaining because she wants attention and not getting it. And it's very, very sad. I think I'll add a bit more here. Oh, yeah. The mic on my phone is actually surprisingly good at isolating the sound. So a lot of times, there's like, a loud car passing by or something like that, and it sounds to me like it's gonna drive you crazy, but you don't hear it at all, which is a very good thing. A very good thing. So yay. Okay. I'll stop messing with it now. Because you need to let it dry completely before you decide. She said she will stop and then did just one more line. You have that too? You start, you should stop with something, like stop fiddling, but then just, oh, one more line, just one. Doesn't count, one more. Thank you. Thanks so much. So yeah, so basically this is what I'm going to do with these walls as well. So the kitchen will be in this not so good state. Um, but yeah, but the pastes need to dry completely, and it's not quite there yet. Yeah, the crackles are not there yet. So we need to give them some time to dry. Um, so yeah, so like I said, let's see, what else can we maybe do today? Maybe we can think electricity a bit. Put this aside to dry, and I'm purposely kind of leaning it over something because I want the as much as possible kind of the water stain to go, well, together down here, so you'll get a darker spot in the end, which is what usually happens in reality. So there, I'll just put it here to dry. And before I go, so yeah, so there is an option of adding electricity, like LED lights, basically, to run, right? I swear, me and words today. Um, so there is an idea of adding electricity to the structure. I'm gonna just add myself back to the screen for a bit. Hello. Right? Yeah, I need to go to this side. Always confusing. Um, so there is an option of adding LED lightings, and I'm trying to figure out what exactly I want to do with it, because I actually don't necessarily want, if there is a light source, I'm not sure that I want it to actually be from lamps, like a normal, not exactly natural, but like the normal lighting in a house. But I was thinking that it would be cool to have maybe, some of the fireplaces have lights for no good reason. Or maybe from some hallway or behind a door or something, like lights. And of course, you can kind of colorize them and make them weird and interesting. So, um, so that's an option. But then I need to basically plan it at this stage. You can add it later, and some of the things I will have to add later on. But say if I know that there's going to be a fireplace here, and I want to have light from the fireplace, then now is a good time to make a hole in this wall so a light can go through. But yeah, so I need to kind of decide, and that's why I haven't glued any of the walls on yet. Um, and I'll probably try and decide about that. Keep going off camera because I'm confused with the very weird. Um, yeah, so I'll probably try and decide by tomorrow. I have started cutting the kind of the floor and the walls for the second floor. So we can start looking at that as well. But yeah, I think tomorrow we'll probably do some staircases because we have there's actually there's two staircases that need to go into this floor that are in this floor. That one is going basically up here pretty much. That will be, from the hall to kind of the second floor, the parlor and the dining room. I know it's really hard to think about it before you glue things down and you have the idea of like what kind of feel you want the project to have. But on the other hand, if you glue things down already, then sometimes it causes you all kind of issues. So I at least try to think ahead. Um, so yeah, so there's going to be a staircase going here that will probably actually be kind of on this wall. So starting somewhere around here and kind of climbing over this wall and reaching up here. That's sort of the plan. Um, yes, I'm very familiar with that. So yeah, just something keeping you up at night, or not even, no, something else keeping you up at night, and then you start thinking about like how can I add lighting to the project and things like that. And there will be another staircase going here that needs to reach up here to the basically connecting the kitchen with the dining room. Now, as usual, it tends to be the case in miniatures that the kind of angle of the stairs is not entirely accurate because I mean, especially with the kitchen, the height of the walls is slightly ridiculous. I'm forgiving myself because I mean, I could have like, do some structure like this and make the kitchen a bit shorter, but that felt unrealistic or like unnecessary. So there will be like a staircase going up here. This window here is basically on the staircase area. So you could kind of see the stairs from the outside. I thought that would be cool. So I'll probably build this one tomorrow during the live. Yes, we are. It's very recommended. I mean, it's a fantasy structure. It it and realistic is not real. There's a difference. So we're all good. We can have whatever we want in our little world of a miniature. This staircase I might have to kind of build, or I definitely need to figure it out off camera because it will definitely take some time. But I think that because it's going to kind of need to turn and twist, and I'm not entirely sure how I'm doing it yet. Exactly. It's fun, and that's the important thing. But in here, it should be pretty straightforward staircase, so I should be able to do that tomorrow, and hopefully even finish it. We'll see. Yeah, and then we'll move on to other parts. I need to figure out what's going on here. Mm. Looking forward to seeing you work on. Oh, yeah, exactly. Thank you. Thank you, Ida. Yeah, we do these things to, if you're doing something, you're making something for yourself. The whole point is that you enjoy it. And if you're making it, then you should enjoy the process as well, for sure. Yeah, so this part here in the middle, it's kind of like a back side, I don't know, like an area maybe that they maybe would prepare things to get to the hall. Maybe this is where they would keep the coats of guests or things like that. I'm not sure. I can tell you that I don't know if you can see the little hole here, this one here. That is where you go down to the basement, which we will build at a later point. Um, Mudroom. Mudroom? There's so many options. Mm, yeah. Well, I mean, I think that part of the fun with this kind of, I will Google it. Worry not. Um, I think that, part of the fun of working with this kind of project is that you have different rooms and different parts to work on. So, and one of the reasons that I purposely build it basically floor by floor, so we can kind of say, okay, I'm not sure what I'm doing with this. I'll get back to it. Let's move to another room and kind of go back and forth between, which is probably what we'll do a few times over. But yeah, tomorrow we'll probably build the stairs. I will have the upper floor kind of cut and you'll be able to see it. Now I have, so yeah, on Thursday, I changed the time that I originally scheduled. It doesn't matter so much because the reminder will go to the time that I've put. Thank you so much, Sue. But I've changed it because after I finish building here on after I finish my hour of building the house, I will be joining Olga for her banter and probably maybe continue building, but probably be very distracted by talking to her. So I figured I should have a separate hour as well, and that should be fun. So I moved it to 7 p.m. CT. Yeah, 7 p.m. CT. So the same time as yesterday. Um, and yay for that. Okay, so I think we'll be finished for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed my um, not so healthy walls. Yeah. And I'll see you tomorrow with some stairs and possibly some second floor shenanigans. Yeah. Thank you so much and have a wonderful rest of the day, how much ever is left of it for you. Bye bye.